This is Abe Friedtanzer from Awards Radar, and I'm so thrilled to be speaking with Cassandra Freeman again about her role on Bel-Air. It's
Listen, thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored to be asked back. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How about you?
I'm fantastic, truly.
Good. So we spoke, I think it was a few days before the show started. What has the reception been like? How are you feeling about it?
There's really no words for it. I mean, I used to say relief. I was so relieved. And now that the people love it so much, it's like my dream come true. It really is. You can only hope to create something that people not only enjoy, but somehow feel healed by it. Like the words that people say to me about the show, it's really exceeded all my expectations.
That's so wonderful. And it's nice too because it really is an ensemble piece. But I think that we get to see Viv have these moments with each of her children, with her husband, with her sister. And that's a very cool element because it was only 10 episodes in season one. So there hasn't been that much of it, but it feels like there's just so much we can talk about today, which I'm excited about.
Listen, me too. It's like therapy for me. I'm like, tell me what happened this season. It's been a long road.
I think that the relationship with Phil is particularly interesting because there's obviously a lot of context to it that involves family, also that involves Will's father, but also a mutual respect that isn't always at the surface. But every time they come back to it, that's sort of what it's rooted on. What do you think about that?
The respect between, well, it's so interesting. Those who get the least respect are the ones who are craving it the most. And I think when Will's character comes to Bel-Air, he comes in not realizing that it's not just respect that you need, it's love and compassion. And I think over the course of the season, you see everyone trying to nudge him towards like, it's not just about you, it's about we. And I think that's a really beautiful storyline that really is like a thread that goes throughout the entire season. You think it's about you, but it's about all of us and how we end up having those conversations happen in very different ways every episode.
Yeah, and I think especially with Hillary, it's interesting because I think she thinks of Viv as a disapproving mother who always thinks she's falling short, but she really wants what's best for her and wants her to be able to discover that herself.
Yeah, exactly. It's really just a conversation about generational differences of what it means to succeed. So my generation, African American, well, come on. Well, the whole thing about being a Black woman, being a Black person, get your education to level out the playing field. And there's something great about this new generation that says, why do I need to wait when I can create now? And what I create now is of value. And that's what she's trying to teach her mother. But, parents, it's so hard to be a parent because when you're trying to help your kid, it looks like as if you don't care about them, but actually it's the opposite. Viv loves her daughter so much. And actually, Viv sees a lot of herself in her, the way that she's not scared, the way she just goes straight for the jugular, straight for the truth. It's just not her truth right now. That's so hard to accept. But ultimately, I think by the end of the season, you see that the line that Hillary is going, it is the correct way to go. It's just not the way I would have chosen for her.
That's true. And also she, sees, I think that for Viv, she put her own career on hold in a lot of ways. And then she's very reluctant to get back into it because I think she knows that it could just go away or it might be hard to go back into, but it's nice to see her on that journey.
Understand that she didn't put it away. It's about what happens when you get worn down in a system that does not want you. And so a lot of the storyline takes a long time before she actually says it, but it's true. She did give it up, but she gave it up because she just felt like the resistance was too great. And the truth is, the facts would kind of point that Vivian's right. She came up in a time where you could only get one or two great Black artists that could pop. But now we're in a different time. And we're in a time where so many African-American artists get to flourish. And so her daughter is making her see that again. But, it's nothing like when you've been asleep for a long time. It takes a while to actually see what the new reality that you're in is now. And so I think that's what's so great about Vivian this whole season is her sort of waking up and becoming who she really is, not just the idea of who she thinks everybody wants her to be.
And it's interesting to see Michael Ealy as Reed, that he sort of comes in seeming as someone who's somewhat opportunistic and wants, what he wants. But that character sort of takes a bit of a different direction also than I think I had expected at the start.
Yeah, I always say I think it's really funny how God sends you the bait that you need to force you off into the new adventure of your life. But also, when someone likes your art, it's a very sexual, intimate sort of tension. Like when someone understands your art, they understand a very deep part of you. Even to be an actor is that same thing. People think acting is to pretend when it's really just an unveiling of truths, unveiling of vulnerabilities. And for someone to see your art, it's the same thing. Like when he comes into our art studio and he looks at a piece of her art, before he even gets the nod to do so, it feels so naked for her, but he thinks it's beautiful. It's like someone looking at you naked and saying, no, what you see wrong, I see perfect. It's very intimate, especially when her husband doesn't have that same conversation. And for it to be wrapped up in the Michael Ealy face, it's even more disarming.
And I think another really poignant moment of the season is when Vi comes to visit and there's all this tension from another relationship. What was it like to explore that?
Vi is the mirror to Vivian. It's the truth. Nobody sets you off faster than a family member. They know all the triggers because they created those triggers. And so when April, who plays it so beautifully, shows up, throughout the whole series, what I love about Vivian is that you think Vivian made herself. And throughout the course of the season, not only she didn't make herself, she hid herself and she found really convenient, safe passageways. And her sister's the one who made her an artist. Her mom gave her the space to go be an artist. Her sister gave her even more space. Even when her mother was dying, she can't even face that she wasn't there for her mother. She still chose her life, her choices. And I think it's a really difficult thing, but I think it's a very common storyline. That really cut close, it cut really deep for so many people, that storyline.
Yeah, and I think the show does such a great job of navigating the new world that we're in now, and not necessarily the world of the show before. But one of the most unexpected and fun moments is when we get to see two cast members from the original show. What was it like working with them and getting to be in this scene with them?
Listen, I keep telling everybody, okay, it's like, some people say never meet your heroes. Well, if it's Daphne Maxwell and Vernee Watson, you safe, okay? Because they exceeded all my expectations. I mean, Daphne Maxwell told me, she's like, listen, take up all the space that you need. She's like, you are Vivian 3.0. She just kept affirming me in this role. And she also understood too how this new Vivian is somebody who was not set and done. In the comedy world, you see these characters again and again. They never change. They never change. It's like watching The Simpsons. It's like, these are stock characters. But when you watch a drama, you really get to see like what someone's pain is and how it actually flourishes and blossoms and hopefully heals. And she just, I really cannot tell you enough how beautiful she was. You would think she'd be holding on, be like, no, I'm the only Vivian Banks. I'm the only second Vivian. She's like, no. She said to me, what we had was a lightning in a bottle. And she said, we didn't know what we had then. And to see it duplicated again, but even elevated more, she thought was a great honor to them. And that's how I feel. They feel like it's an honor to them. And I feel like it's an honor I get to sit in her shoes in these kind of ways,
I think it's rare to have a, reboot, remake, whatever we'd call this, so supported by those behind the original. I think that we see a lot of this now, a lot of shows that are being remade and brought back. And it's nice to see that this is something I think that's welcome and that isn't the same. And I think I've spoken to other members of the cast about this, that you could experience this without having seen The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and it would still be powerful and still be moving. But there were all these little, hints and other, bonuses if you have. And I talked to Ealy, who said it reminded me that he was not alive when the show first aired. So
reminds me of this all the time. Yes.
So he watched it later, and so then he was looking for something different. Whereas all of us who grew up on this, we remember episodes, we may not remember certain things, and so there's a different. Do you think that it's important for people to go back and watch the original?
You don't have to, but it is a delicious treat if you do. But I think there's something. You could write a whole book on, the politics of the 90s versus the politics of 2022. And I think what you see, if you compare the two, is just the deepening of humanity for a whole class of people. And I think what the show really does a great job on is that like the spectrum of what it means to be Black is so big and everyone is welcomed in. In the old show, Carlton was like, oh, he's so white. Oh, and then this character is so black, and this is the right way, and this is the wrong way. And by the end of the series, you see the Will character saying, Carlton's cool. Nope, that's just Carlton. That's Carlton's way of being a human being. Ultimately, hopefully in 10, 15 years, we'll talk about how it was weird we even thought black and white was a thing in the world. But that's where we are right now. And we're still just trying to deepen people's experience of the Black humanity, especially Black boys' humanity, but really even Black women's humanity. I mean, I feel like what they did with Aunt Viv this season was genius. Like, you get to see a woman who's caged, who had an idea that she had to be like this Michelle Obama sort of person, because that was her sort of, North Star. And by the end of it, she gets to come out and be this full bohemian artist. And I don't think people look at Black women as someone who is vulnerable and who can be fragile and weak, but they can be. And I really like to think that they gave me a lot of opportunities to sort of show all those different colors. We're not just sassy and smart talking. We actually are people who need help and direction and courage to get to like the next part of our own becoming.
Yeah, I like that. And I'm not sure what you can preview about season 2, but what would you like to see from Vivian season 2?
I mean, the big thing I think for Vivian is, what I would hope to happen. I mean, I don't know. But I would hope she and Hillary get even closer, and somehow she starts to understand like the social media world. I think about that one episode when the woman was like, but Miss Banks, like, you're a star. Like, to allow Vivian to become this star in the art world, or to actually show her paintings. And I hope her paintings get even more provocative and more political. I hope we actually get to talk about more visual artists. Like, I'm deeply in love with Black artists. So I hope we get to have more Black artists. We had Hebrew Brantley who came in this season, but I hope we have, Ferrari Shepherd and some other like genius people to have deeper conversations about the context of art and politics and spirituality and how it all comes together. I think because that's all of who Vivian is too. So anything like that would be super delicious.
Sounds great. Do you have anything else you're working on at the moment besides this show?
I'm actually working on something totally outside of this, and I'm launching a company called creatricity.io, and it's basically a place for creative people to connect, create, and collaborate. It's a tech startup that me and my partner, Stephanie Lily Smith, are working on. So that's really what I'm doing. That, and I'm a mother to a 3-year-old, and it's just nice to have downtime with him and my husband. I live in Brooklyn, New York, and I shoot the show in Los Angeles. So it's nice to have my feet back here in Brooklyn.
Absolutely. Well, it's so nice to get to talk all about this season with you, and I'm excited to see what happens next.
Thank you so much, Abe, for your support. I appreciate it. Can't wait.
Of course. Look forward to doing it again.
Bye.
Take care.